Good morning traders, welcome to this live currency strength indicator table video with me John on this Monday the 20th of November. We're going to be taking you through some charts of interest today from the currency strength indicator tables. We can see that the Australian dollar is a strong currency at the moment against the US dollar and the Canadian dollar. That was the same coming towards the end of last week. If we just scroll down here, on Friday, we could see that the Australian dollar was gaining some strength and it was reciprocated on the trend traders. And then even the 5 p.m. was showing that we could be looking at that Aussie long. And we were looking at Aussie CAD going into the end of last week, and we set an alert at 0.8900 and the alert missed by 5 pips, so we would have been long that market if we did get that alert tested, but we didn't, unfortunately. So we're gonna have a look at that market again today, see if there's any kind of opportunities for us. I can see that New Zealand CAD's on here, which is great because we are in a New Zealand CAD position, but this may need some management. We ended up taking a position in this, but we probably could have had a better entry if we just looked at a different type of setup. But we'll go take a look at Kiwi CAD first, and then we'll go look at these Aussie markets. So heading over to Kiwi CAD, this is the current position. Daily chart perspective looks pretty good here in terms of the fact that we've breached this 0.8200 level. We kind of retested that level as supporting highs. And price is now looking to potentially extend to the next level of resistance. The next level of resistance we've got marked in is this 0.8400. That was the high that formed in July of this year. So that's where I'm looking to see if price will go and head towards 4 targets. Now, we've got to be a little bit careful with this one. We are coming into a daily swing high. So if I actually just come back into the lower time frame, let's go to the 4-hour time frame, you can see that I've marked the zoning of the daily high in here. What I really don't want to see is a rejection. I don't want to see any kind of rejection in here, although that may lead to something like this occurring. I actually feel like we could probably get a better entry if we get a rejection, so I wouldn't be scared to exit the position if we get a rejection here, because for one, we wouldn't have lost anything by doing that, but two, we could probably try and get a better entry. Let's say price comes back down maybe into this sort of zone in here where we had price kind of stall a little bit before extending to the upside. At that point, we'd be able to get a better entry with a tighter stop loss, and it will give us an idea of to see if that momentum is going to continue in the market. However, if price just does continue higher, let's say we do breach these swing highs here and price does start to sort of close like this, then I'd be happy just to leave this one open, and I'll be looking to kind of just manage the position at that point. Right now, in terms of stop losses, it might be a little bit too early to kind of move anywhere near break even. That wouldn't be ideal right now. Just from, I mean, you probably could move it to break even, but I'm just going to see if price does reject here or not. The averages are quite low down, you see, so this is again kind of going into my theory of what happens if maybe we exit the position if it rejects anyway, and then look at another point of entry. So I will update you if I do that on Discord. So if you head over to Discord, I will kind of discuss if there's any kind of idea to change anything at that point. But we can see, you know, we talked about this last week. We could have had a better entry. Price obviously found some support back through here. We tried to enter on the momentum of this market breach in this trend line resistance, as well as kind of closing back above that 1-hour 50 MA. So I like the idea of getting long, and I was expecting the momentum to kind of take us higher at the time. It didn't do that, obviously. Part and parcel of trading is we don't know what's going to happen next. My other idea was to look at a re-entry around about these lows here. So if price came back in and then found support, that would have been a nicer entry. Just from a risk reward perspective, it would have been a little bit better. I think if I was to use kind of my entry tool, let's just say we got long above one of these sort of pin candles in there, stop loss below the 200 moving average, we would have been able to have a 3-to-1 return rather than waiting for sort of price to kind of play out from a bigger perspective, bigger time frame perspective, and we would have already been out of this market. So that's the difference between trying to catch the momentum of the market or trading from previous lows. Obviously, in this scenario, you're probably thinking, well, why don't we trade from lows all the time? Well, you know, there are times where the market just take off and you don't really get that opportunity to trade from the lows. A perfect example of that is AUDCAD. We were looking to get long towards the sort of swing low areas, especially that 0 spot 8900 coming back into this kind of low on the 4-hour time frame, and price didn't make it there. Instead, we kind of rejected. We came around about 6 to 5 pips short of that level of support, which was basically, I was looking at this kind of pin candle down through here as the area of support, and I would have gone long at 89.10, and you can see price has taken off to the upside without us getting that opportunity of a retest of a low. So there's kind of two different scenarios of how you can kind of look at the markets there. So sometimes it's better to try and catch the momentum. Sometimes it's better to look at the sort of option of a retest of the low. So just kind of flicking back over to KiwiCAD, like I said, I think the best thing to do here is to watch the higher time frame, maybe the hourly, maybe the 4-hour time frame, and just see how price reacts to this area. Ideally, if the market is going to continue to push higher, we would see the market have no trouble breaking through that high. If it does have trouble here and we start to see kind of a rejection and start to move back to the downside here, it's probably best to exit the position, and then we'll just look for a re-entry. There's no problem doing that at all. What I don't want to do, because we've already sat down in a lot of drawdown already, is sit through another round of drawdown for no reason, basically. So yeah, I'll keep you updated on that one. But so yeah, please head over to the Discord channel in the pro trades, calls and updates. I will give you an update to anything I see there. Now heading over to AUDCAD again, I think this is a market that we really want to take an interest in still. We obviously breached, let me just remove this now because it's irrelevant now. But we breached this 8900 level. We like the idea of the momentum pushing price to the upside. The daily closes were good. I like the idea of price trying to test this 0 spot 9050 level, which are these highs again that formed back in July. So I'm expecting price to maybe extend towards that level of resistance there. So again, we can kind of go to our lower time frames now, identify those support and resistance levels as well as the averages. If I look at the H1 moving average at the moment, it is coming more towards that 89.20 level, which is towards this kind of recent sort of band of lows down through here that price has kind of moved away from. From a half an hour perspective, 89.40 is a decent level to watch out for. Again, I quite like the idea of when price comes into the average, breaks back above, it can show this potential momentum to the upside at that point. So that's what I'd be looking for again. I think right now, what I would look to do is to place a sort of level in here, a zone through here. We can also kind of coincide that with this sort of zone. So what I can see is like a rejection, break, support. Maybe price, if it came back into this level with the confluence of the 50 moving average, it could then break back above, continue to the upside. Alternatively, we want to be looking at these lows. Can price come into these lows, find support and start pushing back to the upside there? So I'm going to move, or I'm going to delete this alert. I'm going to set my alert at 89. I'm actually going to set it a little bit. I was going to set it at 89.50, but I think what I'm going to do is set at 89.40, which is in that zone, and then maybe if price hits that, we can look at entries around about 89.50, stop loss 50 pips, and then let's just kind of map that out to see what the kind of risk reward ratios we're looking at here. 89.50, we're probably looking at 88, sort of 90 on the stop loss. Through there, so still just over a 1-to-1 at that point. You're probably looking at about a 1.3, maybe 1.4 to 1 at that point if we do get that move back to the downside there. So definitely going to keep an eye on that one. Keep an eye on this 4-hour chart as well. From an ideal point of view, I wouldn't mind seeing price back down towards this 4-hour low. We've got the 50 MA here as well, kind of slowly kind of creeping up as well. If we did get that sort of pullback into this low, it could be a good area to go long. Obviously, risk reward at that point would be way better as well. So that's something we need to obviously consider. Let's head over to Aussie US dollar then. So heading back to the tables a second, we can see that Aussie US dollar topping the tables now. Just from a calendar point of view, I do know that we've got some Oz data coming up. So if we just head over to the live economic calendar here, obviously the China data overnight was pretty good in terms for the Australian dollar, but I do know, okay, so it's Kiwi data we've actually got overnight, so we need to be a little bit careful with that. RBA governor speaking as well, and RBA meeting minutes. That's what I was kind of looking for there. RBA meeting minutes overnight, so we're going to obviously get some Australian dollar volatility coming up. So we have to be a little bit careful with regards to that. Maybe that volatility will help Aussie CAD pull back into a level of support. Aussie US dollar at the moment breaching this 0.65 handle. Now this is a weekly level of resistance. We're breaching that at the moment. From a weekly perspective, I like the idea of price heading up towards the 0.6875 handle. There could be some potential there. And that's obviously a very big move. That's like a 300 pip move to the upside. From a daily perspective, we might need to kind of look at some sort of intermediate levels. I can see around about this area through here, there's a little bit of something going on. There's kind of like a spike high into that. So if I was just to put a label on that, where would that price bring us? Around about the 0.66. I'm actually going to bring that to 66 because that's going to be the area where I think, you know, psychologically could be targets for the Australian dollar in the short term. New Zealand dollar also features on the tables, but before we head over to that pair, let's just go take a look at the lower time frame. Could this coincide with Aussie CAD potentially? Like I said, we've got that volatility potentially overnight. If price pushes back towards this area here, where you've got that sort of support already, maybe that's where price may continue to push back to the upside. Those lows at this current moment in time are at 0.6460. So that could be also a level of interest just to be aware of. We can see that obviously a lot of buying came in around that area before, so can that happen again if price was to pull back to that point of interest? So Aussie US dollar, an interesting market. My favorite one is Aussie CAD. I think this has got some legs up to the upside here. Obviously we're already in Kiwi CAD. We don't really want to see too much in the way of rejection here. We want to see price continue to trade through this high and continue to the upside there. Kiwi dollar then is coming into resistance as well, so this is what's making me think we need to maybe manage the Kiwi dollar trade, because we're coming into that 0.6050 level. This was a daily swing high before. Obviously we've seen with the Australian US dollar that price has breached it and moved higher, so there could be a move up towards the 0.6100 on the cards for New Zealand US dollar, but we are at resistance. I don't like being long on a currency when we're coming into a level of resistance. Like I said, if we were long down through these lows, which would have coincided with the lows on New Zealand CAD, I'd feel much more comfortable keeping that position in. But at the moment, we've got to be a little bit aware that price has moved away from the lows. We're into resistance. If price does find resistance at that point, could that be something that we want to sit through? I don't think so. So let's just go back to Kiwi CAD. We've got 15 minutes until that candlestick closes. I think actually one of the best things we can really do here is you can either watch the daily closes or watch that rejection for a better entry, like I said. So I think I'm going to look for that. I think if we get a close below here and we start seeing a move down, you know, it could mean that we're going to see a little bit of reversal there. What I'm actually going to do, I'm actually going to bring my stop loss up to break even. And that may seem a little bit extreme from what I've already explained at the middle of the video. But like I said, if we get stopped out for break even and price falls even lower, I'll be looking for entries around about this 8200 area, because to me, that just makes more sense to try and trade back to the high. I just think we've got more of an opportunity there. But, you know, if price does hold here and it breaks through, then it's a bonus, isn't it? Because we're still in the position. So I think either way there's nothing really to lose by bringing our stop loss to break even after some reflection while kind of creating the video here for you. So thanks for watching the video update. I hope that all made sense, and I'll speak to you in the next one.